What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. If you're getting pain when you're doing pull-ups, or when you're just simply hanging from a bar doing any kind of ab work, we got to do something about it. You see, because pain in those movements is usually something that's not going to go away. But there are ways that you can tweak the movement itself to make the exercise one that you can do and continue to get gains. Now, coming from the world of professional athletes, shutting someone down completely for the season is never the best option. It's usually the worst option you have, and it's your last option. If we can maximize what you can do with the function you have, and we can continue to build strength everywhere else, that's the perfect solution. That's what I'm going to try to help you with here today in this video. So, if you're in this hanging position, what is going on? What possibly could be causing the problems? Well, first of all, the position itself is pretty extreme. If your arm is way up over your head, it's pretty much at end range flexion. Okay, end range flexion could be a problem for anybody, especially if you're not that mobile in the first place. But then you add to it the force of gravity pulling your body down, and that can cause some issues, especially if you have a labrum tear. Now, for you guys that don't know what the labrum is, or I know you've probably heard about it but don't necessarily know what it is, I'm going to show you right here on the skeleton. Here we have our Raymond X-ray. He's showing you that inside of his shoulder joint, what lines this ball and socket capsule, right inside of the socket, is the labrum. It basically is a lining around the entire socket portion of the ball and socket. Now it acts as a suction cup. It provides suction so that the head of your humerus sits in that socket and actually stays there with some stability. What would happen if you got a tear in your labrum, which I happen to have from taking someone up in a bet years back with the Mets that I could throw a baseball so far. Yeah, I won the bet and I blew out my shoulder like an idiot. The labrum, when it gets torn, is no different than a suction cup. If you took a suction cup and stuck it to a window, it would work. But if you then took a little knife and cut just a little sliver into that suction, it no longer works because the air can no longer be trapped. There's no more differential in pressure between the window and that suction cup. Well, the same exact thing happens here. So if you have some sort of a labrum tear and you want to go hang on that arm, usually you don't even feel it so much until you let go, because it's that rebound pain that you'll get with a labrum tear, mostly again characterized by feeling it after you let go, which is what I sort of deal with my shoulder. If instead you get pain just when you get into this position, okay, and even worse as you start to do more and more reps, that could be because you have impingement in your shoulder. And anytime you put your arm up overhead, you're going to have more and more problems if you have impingement going on. To figure out the actual diagnosis, and that again, that would be more pain during the movement, but to figure out the actual diagnosis is always a good idea to see if you can get an evaluation by a physical therapist. Here's a good tip though that you can use in either case. First of all, what are you doing with your shoulders? If this is what you look like at the bottom of any hanging leg raise or pull up, then you already have problems. Why? Because if you could turn your head and hit your chin into your chest or into your shoulder over here and make contact with that, then you're not packing your shoulders properly for stability. And again, if we have this unstable or this compromised labrum, we don't have stability as it is. We've already lost a lot of that. So we need to have stability some other way. We need to have other muscles kick in and help out. And we could do that by making this simple tweak. If this is you right now, the first thing you want to do is try to keep your elbow straight and raise your head up. Okay, once you do that, now if I turn left and right, I don't hit my front delt or chest at all. I've packed my shoulders down for stability. I already get my traps, I get my rhomboids, and I even have other muscles inside the joint itself here that are contributing to make this joint a lot more stable. Okay, so now when I do my exercises, whether it be the hanging leg raise or the pull-up, I'm much more prepared and ready to do that. The next thing you can do is, if you have that much pain, first of all, again, be evaluated. But secondly, if you have that much pain, you don't have to necessarily stick to pull-ups for now. You can change to chin-ups. And by changing to chin-ups, you've got another opportunity to now incorporate the biceps to help you with some stability. And when we externally rotate the arm to get into the chin-up position, we get the rotator cuff to kick in as well. So you've got options. You don't have to say, oh, that's it, can't do hanging leg raises. And that's a simple solution, by the way. If you can't do anything up here for hanging leg raises, but you still want to get the benefits of those more difficult exercises, then use the Roman chair where you sit with your forearms supported on pads. But like I said, the key here is that when you're hurting, and a lot of us are, I bet you that 90% of my guys that are watching this video right now have some sort of discomfort when they hit the gym. That's normal. But it doesn't mean that you have to train like that or skip workouts because of the pain. There's usually something you can do that allows you to avoid a little bit of discomfort, but still continue to work on getting stronger overall. And really, in the long run, it will accelerate your progress in your rehab and getting back from these discomforts. Because if you can figure out ways to continue to train but avoid that pain, that's the home run right there. And that's what we try to do with ATHLEAN-X, guys. I think it's videos like this that separate us from what a lot of other programs out there offer. As a physical therapist, I feel like I can bring to you guys a little bit more of the science behind what we do so we can start helping you guys train at a whole new level. If you haven't already, guys, join Team Athlean, head to ATHLEAN-X.com and get our ATHLEAN-X training system. And in the meantime, if you found this video helpful and you continue to like these sort of PT videos and explaining why and what goes on when you're training, then make sure you leave some comments and a thumbs up below and the other things you'd like to see me address, and I'll make sure I do that in a future video. I'll see you guys soon.